All right, so this is going to be a review of The Last Witch Hunter, starring Vin Diesel. It's directed by Breck Eisner from 2015. I remember seeing it years ago, around the time it came out, and I remember thinking, wow, this is bad. So, it's on HBO Max. I was like, okay, well, I kind of wanted to start doing bad movie reviews again. So, here we are. I just got done watching it. Vin Diesel's really into Dungeons and Dragons and stuff like that. So that's the reason why he decided he wanted to do this, even though he's terrible in the movie. And we'll get back to that. Man, I was trying to give this a chance this time around, where I was like, okay, it's this certain things where I was like, okay, I guess this could be promising with better writing. But the writing just gets so bad, especially when we get to like the end with the reveals and things like that. It's just, this is horrible. So in this, years and years ago, there was a witch queen and a coven of witches that had released a plague and killed a bunch of people. And so these warriors, these witch hunters from this village, decide to go take care of them. One of which being our main character in this, Calder, played by Vin Diesel. They get there, and a lot of the other witch hunters end up dying, but Calder's doing pretty good. Like he's throwing them around, and he's got his sword on fire. Apparently, it takes iron and fire to kill these witches in this coven, and so he's taking them out and things like that. He finally gets up to the witch queen, who's transforming into his daughter. These people, their families have died from the plague and things like that, including Calder's wife and daughter. So she's playing mind games with him, things like that. But he ends up, stabbing her and killing her. And right before she died, she curses him with immortality. So he ends up not dying from that, even though, the place gets covered with fire and things like that. He ends up not dying from that. And he ends up living for another 800 years and being a witch hunter pretty much throughout time. He works with I think it's called Axe and Cross, and so they help him do stuff. There's like a peace treaty between humanity, him as being a witch hunter, and the witches. There's a council of witches, and as long as witches don't use magic on human beings, then there's peace, and they can live amongst us and things like that. So he has people that help him, like a main companion that he always has, who's always called Dolan. And the 36th Dolan, that's the latest one, played by Michael Caine in this, he's retiring, so he's going to get a new Dolan, and that's played by Elijah Wood. He's going to be the 37th Dolan. And Michael Caine's Dolan ends up dying, so he wants to, so Calder goes around trying to figure out what happened. He believes that there was a witch involved, and that a witch killed him. Turns out that Dolan was actually cursed and actually isn't dead. So now he's going after the person who cursed him to try to lift the curse from that Dolan, the 36th Dolan, and stop whatever plan that they have going on. So, like I said, this is horrible. But there's some positives here, mostly towards the beginning. So that's when I was like, okay, well, I'm going to try to give this somewhat of a chance, even though I know this is bad. The beginning part with them going after the Witch Queen, I actually like that. I think that's probably the best part of the whole movie. It's well shot for the most part. I like the costume design. Vin Diesel looks ridiculous in that with the beard and the hair and everything. It doesn't fit him at all. And every time they go back to it with these memory sequences, it still makes me laugh. But other than that, I think as far as costumes and things, looks all right. There's some really bad effects in this, and even in the beginning part with the flies, the plague or whatever that is. But the effects were okay for the most part. I think the Queen looks all right. And that's the action scene that has the most stakes and is actually kind of well choreographed. Like I like him, slamming them down and cutting them with his sword on fire. It's kind of cool. Like from on a superficial level, if you're just looking at that, which I think is only like 8 minutes, that's at least enjoyable. The premise of this 800-year-old witch hunter that's been around all these years and is immortal. And because he's immortal, he doesn't really have attachments or anything like that. He basically just lives for, keeping the peace between the witches and humanity and going after evil witches and things like that. I don't like that he's completely immortal to where he can't be hurt or killed. But whatever, 800 years. If he wasn't if he wasn't immortal to the point where he couldn't be killed, it would be kind of far-fetched that he would still be alive doing what he does. But I still don't like the immortality, but whatever, I'll go with it. It's just, it could have been really interesting to see a world where witches existed and magic existed and how it's been able to integrate but still keep itself hidden from humanity, and how this man can go around and deal with not only taking care of evil witches but also kind of the politics involved with him and the Council of Witches and things like that. And with him being 800 years old, him being world weary, him kind of being over it, him being him having quiet moments to himself, feeling lonely, thinking of his family. There's some things here like this could work in theory. It's just that they did it in the most uninteresting, boring ass way possible. But I do like this other character, Chloe, played by Rose Leslie. She was on Game of Thrones. She's a witch that owns a bar. He goes to talk to her because a large part of this movie is just him wanting to go back into his memories from the day that he died when he fought the witch queen and was given immortality, cursed with immortality by her before killing her. A lot of the movie is that him trying to find ways to get back to that time, to remember it, because I believe Michael Caine's character, the Dolan, was the one who left his blood his finger with blood on the pages with the words "Remember your death," so he can go back and see it. I'm pretty sure that was what happened, because at one point it was questionable whether that was a trap by the villain, but I'm pretty sure that was Michael Caine's character that did that. A large part of the movie is that, and it's boring, but I did like this character. She has a bar, and she's a witch, and she has a backstory that's kind of sad. She has this secret power to be able to go into people's dreams. That's technically dark magic, so she hides it away. And there's a backstory with her and her hurting her brother doing it when they were arguing or something. And so there's some interesting things to that character. I think she's the best character in this movie, and I thought the actress did a really good job. Definitely was able to add more to the movie with her being there, because our main character is so bland that at least you have that character to kind of attach yourself to. That being said, that's all the positives. I guess we can talk about our lead at this point. So Vin Diesel is really into Dungeons and Dragons, and so this is kind of his way of living out, his fantasies of actually being in kind of a Dungeons and Dragons type world. But he doesn't bring anything to this role, really. He's really bland. He's like, it's the worst of Vin Diesel, where he feels like he needs to be overly serious and badass and intimidating, and every now and then he'll crack a smile or whatever, but he's mostly supposed to be this tough character. He's really focused on doing that, to the point where his character has no charisma, no real charm, no anything. There's kind of a moment where he's charming this stewardess before he takes her home, because he can tell that she's from a certain place based on her accent, because he's been around for so long, that's kind of all right. But for the most part, he's walking around being just really boring. He gives certain lines that are supposed to have like some kind of impact. They have none. He's really bad in this.
The window hasn't been opened. How did that get in there? One means nothing. Two, a coincidence. Three, trouble.
If you get injured in your memory, you get injured out here. Which means to say that if you die in there, you also
Can't die anywhere.
I have to make a disclaimer for my insurance.
He's immortal, so you don't even get to have that kind of superficial level of enjoyment when it comes to the action like you did at the beginning of the movie, because there's no stakes. And because there's no stakes, they don't even feel like they really need to have that much action. All right? Most of this movie is him going to see a witch, talking to them. And maybe an action scene will pop up, maybe not. But what action does happen, he gets stabbed and he heals right away, and then he takes this one guy out. There's another point where, because most of the time, the only thing they can do to him is handcuff him or distract him. He'll either already be in a past memory sequence, and so he got handcuffed at one point during that, or this other old witch put him into a memory sequence or dream sequence, and then he broke out and then started fucking them up. I mean, he gets that point where he gets handcuffed. He just breaks his hand and then gets his hand out the handcuffs, and then it immediately heals. Heals immediately. So there's no stakes, and there's very little choreography during those points either. So you can't even get anything from that. He's just going to talk to a witch, going to talk to another one, going to talk to another one. There's a gang ton of exposition of him explaining things to the new Dolan or to the witchness Chloe, right? And, yeah, he also gives information about certain things. He tells a story about how they built over a mass grave that they found way back when that area was first being constructed or whatever. So he has certain knowledge of things that he'll say to other characters, but that's mainly it. It's just him. He really wants to get to the point where he can have his memory, have the memory of him dying, so he can figure things out. And that's about it. I already had a question in my head early on. Like, people have talked about this, and I talked about it when the movie first came out. Why would you curse someone with immortality? Why would you curse your mortal enemy with immortality before he kills you? It's really dumb. Like, yeah, the idea is like, oh, everybody he knows will die around him, but if he stays to himself, yeah, he'll be lonely, but he'll be alive. And then also, any witches that try to go after him, even if they try to go after him in your name, can't kill him because you decided to give him immortality. So that was already questionable. But I was thinking to myself, I was like, okay, so you're trying to save the 36 Dolan, Michael Caine's character. You're trying to save him from a curse that a witch put on him by killing the witch that did it. So it's established in this world, okay, if you kill the witch that cursed someone, the curse will be broken. Why didn't that happen with you? Why are you still immortal even though you killed the witch that gave you immortality? So that was already like, okay, that doesn't make sense. So now there must be more to that. So the whole reason why he needs to go back in his memory is because he sees that he actually did die when he got burnt up and everything when he killed the witch back in the day, but all those years ago. But he didn't kill the heart, which was established in the beginning, that you have to stab the heart to truly kill the witch queen. So the heart is still there because he didn't actually get it, but he's like burnt up and everything, but he's still alive. And I guess he just needs to heal to the point where he's fully immortal. And they go to stab the heart to finish her off, but he starts screaming in pain. So if they stab the heart and fully kill the witch, then the curse is broken and he wouldn't be immortal. He'd just be dead. So this witch this is really contrived. She had amazing foresight, right? So not only did she know somehow that he wasn't going to stab her in the heart when he was about to stab her and kill her, but she also knew that when they found the heart, they would go out of their way not to truly kill the witch queen that had released a plague that killed these people's families, just to keep him alive. It's like, wow, that is amazing foresight. But either way, you mean to tell me you've been going after this person that's behind all this, trying to figure out what's going on, trying to, having all these dream sequences, these memory sequences where you're trying to go back to that day to figure this out. And it's something that I could have predicted or could have figured out from like the very beginning, because without that explanation, the movie doesn't make sense. That you're immortal after you killed the queen. It's like, wow. So this is already an exposition heavy, boring, mostly waste of time. But it's even more so a waste of time because it's the thing that he's trying to figure out is fucking obvious. Bruh, you've been around for 800 years. At no point at that time did you think to yourself, I wonder why I'm still immortal if the queen is dead. It's dumb. So the guy he's been chasing after this whole time, that we've seen a couple times, he put him in handcuffs earlier. I think that he was the person who put him in handcuffs. He's been behind everything. He got the bugs and thing. I believe he got the bugs that he used on the old Dolan from the blind witch from before with the butterflies. He's going to end up being sacrificed too, because I guess they need a sacrifice for the queen to come back, something that I don't think was established before that. And he got the dirt that he needs to bring her, because he needs like special dark magic dirt to bring her back. I guess he got that from the old witch. I guess I wasn't fully sure on that, but he brings the queen back to life, and Vin Diesel goes there, and in an instant he kills the person that he's been going after this whole time. In an instant, he just throws a knife at him and kills him. He just kills over his dead. Like, oh, okay, well, this movie didn't need to happen, because he found the guy pretty early on. But I mean, if it's that easy to kill him, you could have done that way early on. But the queen grabs him, and because she's back now, and she like takes his immortality back from him, and she says, "Oh, the immortality was never yours; it was always mine." And I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute. First of all, how does she have immortality? Because she can still die. She's been dead all this time. She just hasn't been truly dead because you didn't stab the heart, right? But you could still stab the heart even after this, even after she brings her immortality back, and she would die. So how does she even have immortality to give to him? It just she shouldn't have given him immortality anyway. But I guess she has that good of foresight where she knows, hey, he's gonna stay alive all this time, and hey, my heart will be around, so I'll be able to be brought back. But she decides she's gonna start the plague up again like she did all those years ago, and she's gonna use the witches that have been imprisoned all this time, make them chant from their imprisonment, and the chant will make it happen, because she can't make the plague happen without her coven that she had back in the day. So that will serve as her coven to do it. And so now Vin Diesel, Calder, he is now not immortal. So it's like, okay, we're gonna have some stakes in the climax. No. He fights the Sentinel thing that the witch court or whatever, the witch council uses to imprison bad witches. He fights that, and he has to crush a bug inside of it to kill it. It's like a boss fight in a video game. He's able to do that, even not immortal, and he seems perfectly fine. He's able to then go and fight her, and he's about to kill her, but then we get a reveal, because they broke the chant earlier, because they Chloe, she can go into people's dreams, and so she's able to go into one of the witches that's chanting's dream, and so it cuts the chain. So then that stops the plague, but then she gets used for the plague and things like that. But he goes to kill her. He's got a sword. He sets it on fire and everything. He's about to kill her. And it turns out that Elijah Wood's Dolan, the 37 Dolan, turns out he was, who's barely been in this movie, even though he had this backstory of, I've always wanted to help you when you saved me from a burning building. Turns out the witches that he saved him from were actually his parents. And the way that he was able to become a Dolan anyway, and nobody knew, is because he just happens to not have magic. This has not been something that's been introduced into the story up to this point. It hasn't been set up to where, oh, there are witch people or witch children that don't have magical blood. Like, up to this point, it's just like, no, witches have magical blood. They're witches. But no, he had no magical blood, just so they can set up this reveal, this twist, which is lame as fuck and feels like it was thrown in last minute into the script.
Those witches you rescued me from when I was a kid, I didn't kill my parents. They were my parents. But sadly, I was born without magic.
You're a witch.
Yep.
Vin Diesel, Calder, he's supposed to be regular now. He's not supposed to be immortal. But he gets shot in the chest by Elijah Wood's character. And he's still able to get up. He uses some magic stones that were in the plane that he took from a witch in the beginning to cause a storm. And he throws his sword at the queen. And it's the lightning sets it on fire, and that's how he kills her. Somehow misses the heart again, so that we can have the whole thing where it's like, oh, because he gets his immortality back after he kills her again. I forgot about that. It's so stupid. That was a curse she put on him before he killed her. So I don't know how it automatically goes back to him. She took it back. I don't know. And he misses the heart again, so that they can be like, oh no, you don't kill the heart, because then you'll fully die. You'll lose your immortality, and we need you here because something even worse than her is coming. I was like, all right, whatever. Because they wanted to make sequels. It's so obvious that that's what it was. It makes no sense. It's like he's been around for 800 years. I'm sure he's ready to, be with his family in the afterlife or whatever. But no, he's gonna stick around. He's gonna stick around. He just happened to miss the heart again. Anyway, they don't really establish really how people don't know about all this going on. But after this movie, after she had all this, this plague and bugs all in the air and everything like that, during the day, I guess people still wouldn't know. There's no way they would know at this point. Those bugs, those look bad. There's some effects that look good in this, but the bugs for the plague, those always look bad. There's also these vine type things that come out. They're also in dream sequences too. Those look bad. This is a bad movie. It's a bad movie. They really thought they were going to make more, too. I thought about my lowest rating, but I'm going to be somewhat kind to it and give it trash instead, because there were things I thought were interesting. Like I said, I like the Chloe character. And I did like the beginning part with the witch hunters going after the witch queen and things like that. There's some interesting stuff here that you could have made into something, but the writing is just too bad. Like the whole thing with the immortality thing is like, man, that was already questionable, but it just got worse and worse the more the movie went on. And that reveal with Elijah Wood's character, that really does feel like it was just shoved in last minute. Like, completely unnecessary. He's barely in the movie. He just pops in and help every now and then. Anyway, yeah, this is a really badly written movie. It's just like didn't even care to make this not completely ridiculous and not to the point where it's like, okay, well, this is contrived nonsense that I can't, at a point you just can't go along with it. It's just it's too badly written. But anyway, yeah, that's The Last Witch Hunter from 2015. It is trash. Subscribe, and we're done.